Hello and welcome. This is chapter 3 of our video series on starting a company in China in 2024. And we're going to continue with application submission and waiting for the business license. So let's go through some of the very important details for this section. In the previous sections, we talked about registering your company name. That was the first step, and how to choose a name. So once you register your company name, that name is preserved for 30 days only. So you have to be very careful on that so that you don't take too long to gather all the documents that we talked on step 2, chapter 2. You can go ahead and watch that if you haven't watched. So you have to try to speed it up, okay, to get the documents as soon as possible so you can submit the application within that 30-day period. Now, coming back to chapter 3, now application submission. So assuming you gathered all the original documents, you apostilled them, etc. Now you can send those documents by post, by DHL, FedEx, etc. To our office. So once we receive them, we're going to fill out the application on your behalf. And this is a part of our job, actually. So we fill out the application for company registration now. Of course, company registration application, just like in any other country, it's got some important sections that we need to fill together with you. So one of those important sections is actually the types of activities you would like to engage through this company. And for this section, we're going to ask you actually give us categories or type of products you will be selling if it's an import and export company. If it's a business consulting company, again, same thing, we're going to ask you for bigger categories. What kind of business consulting you will be selling or offering to the market, right? Of course, in both scenarios, there are some restricted areas and some areas which are half restricted, which might require some special permit or license. If that's the case, obviously we're going to give you necessary consultation free of charge. Obviously, it's included in the total package of company registration. And based on your situation, you can decide whether to apply for these special licenses or permits, or you can just apply for the general business license, which only includes business activities or products in case of import and export, which do not require any special permit or license. All right. So let's look at the screen. Okay. I listed down all the important aspects for this chapter. So as I mentioned already, you can see here, we receive the original documents, apostille documents from you, and then we fill out the application and attach the documents and submit. So submission is actually in person here in China. So of course it's possible by post as well, but that takes a little bit longer. So that's why we are already in China. Our office is in Shanghai. So we're going to send one of our staff to the company registrar for each application. Okay, each application, each client's application is taken in person to the company registrar. Now after that, we're going to wait around 3-5 business days to get the structural documents of the company. Structural documents of the company, just like the name suggests, it's going to show who is the shareholder, who is the company director, who is the supervisor. And if there are multiple shareholders, which shareholder owns how much percent of the company. It's going to detail all of that. And among the structural documents, obviously, you can see your articles of association. Like I mentioned in the previous videos, all the paperwork in China is only in Chinese language. All right, it's not in English. So there were cases, obviously, actually quite often we receive this feedback from our clients that, well, can we ask the company registrar to issue the structural documents in English so I can understand what I'm signing for, right? Unfortunately, that's not the case because it's a government, policy. One department cannot just, go ahead and change that for you only, just because you don't understand Chinese. But what you can do is, or you can ask us to do, is hire a translation company. And by market price right now, it's approximately 200 yuan per page to translate legal documents into English. So that is the kind of standard. You can approximately, like I said, you're looking at this kind of price. Total number of pages is around 25 pages. Okay, so you do the math. Now, if you require translation, do let us know. Now, this is the structural documents, right? Once we receive the structural documents, we're going to give you those structural documents via email, right? You will get them electronically. So once you receive them, we will please ask you to print them out and use specifically black gel pen. Just like here, it's explained. Black gel pen is only accepted in China for signing legal documents. Any other color or ballpoint pens, they're not acceptable. Or even pencils, sometimes we've seen people signing documents, which is not acceptable here. So use only black gel pen, sign the documents, and of course, who will sign? It's the supervisor of the company, director of the company, and obviously all the shareholders of the company. So we're going to give you full guidance, do not worry. Of course, documents, once again, they're in Chinese. So that's why when we give you the structural documents of the company, we give you one copy which will include detailed guidance, okay? For each person, you can see on that guide, you can see your name where you have to sign. So you can print out both the original documents and the guide, the document which will guide you. So you print all of them and you just follow the guide, but sign the original document, all right? Because in the original document, we're not allowed to write any names there. It just says the shareholder, director, and supervisor. All right, it doesn't have exact names. Of course, it has the name where it's talking about the percentages, the share ownership, okay? But that is only for information purposes. But when it comes to signing, it only gives the titles, okay? So you have to just follow this guide to sign the documents. Once you sign the documents, now we will need the signed documents in original. You, again, if you're outside of China, even inside China, you just have to contact the postal service appropriate in your situation and send the original signed documents to our office once again. Once we receive the original documents, signed documents from your side, then we will take the documents to the company registrar again. So we give the structural documents to the company registrar, and then that's the waiting period. We will wait for 10-15 days approximately as a standard, or less if we expedite the service. We wait for the business license of the company. So that is the general business license of the company. Let me actually write it down. It's the general, okay, general business license. I'm not talking about special license here, because in earlier in the video I already mentioned that if your situation requires that you need a special license or permit, then if you decide to go for it, then obviously special license permit, it might take slightly longer than 10-15 days. Only general business license takes 10-15 days. That's it, okay? So after we apply for it, obviously we're going to wait for it. There's nothing, can be done. There's no action that we can do in order to progress through the process actually. So it's just waiting period, because without the business license, nothing else can be done. Okay, we cannot apply for bank account. We cannot register the company with the tax department. So we need to wait. Okay, during that period, you can, if you're in China, go around and do some plans, maybe visit some wholesale markets, etc. Now, once we receive the business license, this is where we will need the company director and supervisor. All right, so both of these people, they have to be present at the bank to open a corporate bank account. We're going to make necessary arrangements. Obviously, we'll talk to the bank, we will talk to you, we find a matching time so that you can visit the bank. Because obviously in China, it's not like a walk-in, all right, process to the bank in order to open a corporate bank account. It's through appointments only. So we're going to make sure that we select one time that bank has a slot, available slot, and you also available to visit on that day. We're going to communicate with both parties here. So during that time, of course, one of our staff is going to visit the bank with you together, because the communication most of the time is in Chinese. But of course, like I mentioned in different other videos, in Shanghai, most of the bankers, they speak or try to speak in English, but of course they're not, you should not expect them to be fluent, all right? They do understand, they speak some English, maybe intermediate level, but not like advanced or fluent. But there are exceptions, obviously. I'm not saying that there are none. There are exceptions. If you meet such a person, that's great, actually. The whole process can be much easier. But in any case, our staff will be there to assist with the whole process. Now, visit to the bank usually is once, okay? One time. But it's a long process. So normally we set the appointment at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you, company director, and the supervisor both should be present there, and one of our staff will be there. The first step will be to open a personal account for both of these people. If you have a personal account at that bank, usually we work with the top 4 banks in China. I don't want to mention their names here for legal purposes, but top 4 banks that we work with. And if you have a personal bank account, then that's great. We can just cancel out that part, because it also takes a few hours actually. Unfortunately, in China, the government bureaucracy is really heavy, okay? There's a lot of paperwork. When you go through it, you can see that. The rest of the things, the speed of the business, etc., they are really fast. But when it comes to paperwork, especially in government institutions, it is really heavily present, okay? So, once again, we start with opening a personal bank account. If you have, then that's great. We don't do that. We straight away start with company bank account. Now, company bank account opening alone, it takes around 4 or 5 hours. Okay, 4 or 5 hours, including all that paperwork, ID verification. They take your picture, they make you sign a bunch of like hundreds of pages actually. But do not worry, it's just, it's only once, like I said, one visit to the bank. But however, I need to tell you that it's still a government institution, which means that bureaucracy might change depending on the situation, depending on the timing that you are opening this bank account, right? So there were cases I've seen, we've got clients, they were asked to go to the bank 2 times. So first time they opened a personal bank account and half of the company's account, and then the bank had to shut down, or like they were busy a little bit. They asked the client, please come back the next day. So if that's the case, you just have to be prepared. Why am I saying that? Because clients sometimes come to us with an extremely tight schedule, which is actually not really recommended. When you are doing business in China, you have to be extremely patient, and this is what we expect from our clients. Because of course we really understand. I also worked in many developed countries. In Europe, for example, everything is like it's written, it's set, it's standard, right? Nothing changes most of the time. However, in China, things might be a little bit slow again when we're dealing with a government office, when we're dealing with banks, specifically banks, okay? They tend to be a little bit slow, and they tend to be a little bit unpredictable. So if they ask you to go there again, just have to leave a room for that. Okay, do not book your flight just yet to to fly out of China. So what we average, in average, what we recommend is please allow at least 1.5 weeks. Okay, better yet if you have 2 weeks available time in China, and your return ticket may be a flexible ticket, so you can change the dates. Okay, that's what I recommend personally, in order to avoid any like problems with the appointments. All right, so again, if we visit the bank once, that's great. If we visit the bank twice, then we have to do it. And after the visit to the bank, what we do is we register the company with the tax department. Okay, so that is the actually video for the next chapter we will be discussing later. But coming back to this chapter again, there are a few concepts I would like to discuss with you guys. So which is registered capital, okay, of the company. This is very important. Registered capital of the company and paid-in capital of the company. Actually, there is a video on the channel, but since we're talking about submitting the application today for company registration, registered capital is a mandatory section in the company registration application. So you need to understand it. Registered capital is not paid-in capital, as we discussed before. China has changed paid-in capital with registered capital back in 2015. So what is the difference? Registered capital is something that you write down, and the recommended amount for trading companies is approximately between 150,000 USD and 300,000 USD. So in between, or you can decide to make it larger as well. There's no limitation. So you write down that amount on the application. It means that you are intending, you are willing to inject such amount into your company through the course of your business. Actually, the time frame so far has not been very exact. So far it's been 30 years, the validity of your business license. In China, you get your general business license for 30 years. I'm talking about, again, general business license. I'm not talking about specific special licenses, but the point is the validity of the business license was the time frame to inject that registered capital so far until 2024. Now we heard some new policies coming in, which will take effect in July 2024. So in July, they're going to give us more exact time frame, but do not worry again. It's not going to be immediate. The time frame is going to be several years still. It's for sure 100%. We've checked with some of the government departments that we always work with. So it's going to be several years. And another very important element I'd like to mention is injecting the capital doesn't mean that you are freezing the capital in the company account. It means that operational capital of your company, just like the paid-in capital, just like any capital injection that you make in any other country. So basically, if you put your registered capital as 150K or even 100K USD, you can inject that capital over the course of years, and you can immediately use that capital to run your company. Okay, so it's not going to be frozen in your account for any period of time. It's immediately accessible. That's very important to note, because some people might be afraid that, wow, that's a a lot of money. Why would I just invest that money and then I don't have access to it? That's not the case here. Okay, so if you're planning to buy some, let's assume you're planning to buy some let's assume machinery, okay, for your clients, and it's a trading company that we set up for you. So that machine costs, most of the time, if you're planning to buy a construction machine, for example, most of the time it costs more than 100K USD. And even if it's smaller than that, you can, gather all the client's money, put it in your own account, for example, or even your firm account in your country, and then transfer the same amount of money that you receive from your client as injection to your China company. That's how it works. Actually, this is very common practice by many foreign founders in China. Of course, they're not going to put the money from their own pocket. They either use their existing companies like money in and out to buy products and then export. They use that payment temporarily as injection. And then once the injection is received, it can be transferred into the operational account of the company. So it's readily accessible. You can use the same money to buy products and export. That's how it works. Okay. So paid-in capital and registered capital, that is the difference. Okay. Paid-in capital is mandatory. Okay. It's required to be injected immediately. I know that in many European countries, there is still paid-in capital. All right. For example, in Germany, you want to set up a limited company, you need to inject approximately 20,000 euros immediately, right? And in some other European countries, there's like 3,000 euro paid-in capital, etc., etc. In China, it's zero. Paid-in capital is zero. Okay, there's no paid-in capital, but there is registered capital, like I said, and the required amount. There's no required. It's a recommended amount. Differs from place to place. In Shanghai, for trading company, like I said, between 100 and 300K. Okay, that's the practice. Validity of the business license, like I said, it's 30 years. Okay, so why am I mentioning this? Because most people sometimes get worried that, well, how much is going to cost me to renew the license? Okay, maybe they get used to the same situation, for example, in Hong Kong or in UK, for example, need to update a few stuff like that. I know that UK license is not, updated annually, but still there are a few things that you need to update every year. Even in the US, for example, you need to update with the state. You need to do the state filing every year, right? But in China, that's not the case. In China, you get the business license, which is valid for 30 years or even sometimes for life. There's no expiration date of your license. You don't have to really worry about updating anything in the government system. Okay, that's like zero. So that's done. Now, general business license and special permit, we already mentioned that. So these are some of the important elements, right? General business license, like I said, is for the products, in case of trading company, for the products which do not require any special permit. For example, the common one is food and beverage, edible products. Food and beverage products, they require special license, all right? So you need to apply for it depending on the type of edible products we're talking about, like beverage and food. There are again subcategories as well, and food and beverage license usually is given for 5 years or less sometimes, but general business license, in contrast, it's given for 30 years, like I said. Special permit, food and beverage. Okay, and another example can be like dangerous chemicals, for example. It's really extremely hard to get that if you're doing import and export of chemicals, but it's still manageable, but still, that is a special permit. So I hope you understand now the difference, general business license and the permits. Now, to summarize, once again, let's just go through the list and, cross off what we're talking about, right? So registered company name is valid for 30 days. Okay, that's done. We mentioned that. Now, after receiving the original apostille documents, we're going to fill out the application and submit it to the government. That's done. And we wait around 3 to 5 business days to receive the structural documents of the company. So you, shareholder, director, and supervisor, they need to sign the structural documents, right? We talked about that. So when you are signing the documents, please make sure you use black gel pen only. We talked about this. Once you sign the document, return by post, the original ones, right, to our office. We talked about this. General business license, waiting period is around 10-15 days standard, or less if we expedite it. Talked about it. And registered capital, paid-in capital. We discussed the differences. Validity of the business license is 30 years. We talked about it. And general business license versus special permit. We talked about this as well. So there we go. So with that, I'm going to finish chapter 3 of our video series on doing business in China, starting a company in 2024 and onwards, application submission, and waiting for the business license, right? If you have any questions, like I've been mentioning on all the videos, our contact details are on the screen all the time, because sometimes I get people emailing asking how do I add you on WhatsApp or WeChat or Telegram. The same number you see on the screen is for WhatsApp, Telegram, and WeChat. You can add us, no problem, we can communicate. But however, please note that there is a paid consultation. If you need answers, if you want to talk one-to-one, if you need answers to your specific situation, you want to discuss your specific situation, which is not like general questions, there is a paid consultation. You can go to our website and there's a book a call section, click on that, and please make an appointment so that we can talk. We can provide you more detailed information on that. So thanks for watching. Once again, we will continue with the chapter 4. Okay, we will discuss more about company registration, doing business in China. So stay tuned.